You are a survivor, whether you know it or not. From the beginning, you had to beat out more than 17 billion to have a chance of being born. 46 chromosomes combine with 30,000 different genes to determine your gender, body type, color of hair, eyes, skin, and even certain characteristics of your personality. You were unique from the beginning, and then you became one of the estimated 106 billion people that have ever lived, and one of the over 6 billion people living right now. And it's a pretty good time to be born. We used to think the earth was flat. We used to think cigarettes were healthy. We used to think a lot of things were right that now we know are wrong. You live in a world full of opportunity, a world full of differences. And we all call the same place home, the same address in the galaxy, the same place and time. And we experience these differences through the same thing, our brain. And it is truly amazing. It has over 100 billion neurons, which makes for an endless amount of thoughts. But we don't have an endless amount of time. The average lifespan is 80 years. You will spend roughly 20 years in school and roughly 20 years in retirement. What will you do with those years in between? How will you prepare for it? Are you halfway through it? Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you do, you are fortunate. You are free. There are 4,146 colleges or universities in the United States. It's never too late to start learning. The oldest college graduate was 95, or too early. The youngest college graduate was 10. You can study anything you can imagine. There are over 600 different majors to choose from, with more being added every day. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. There are millions of dollars available for financial aid. It doesn't matter your status. It doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of time. More than 3.5 million people in the education system are taking online classes. This year, more than 1.5 million people will receive a bachelor's degree and 647,000 a master's degree and earn 10 to 50% more for their families. The world is full of information. Education is how information becomes knowledge, and knowledge changes things for the better. Never stop learning.
Ever feel like you're capable of far more than what society expects of you? I know I do. Remember being a teenager and school being less about a passion to learn and more about getting good grades? How many times did you sit in class, bored and desperate to just get away? Every teen's felt that. Albert Einstein acted on it. Aged just 15, he's sitting in class when all of a sudden he decides enough is enough, gets up and walks right out the door. He never goes back. Remember being a kid and just wanting to play around with stuff, pull things apart, knock things together, and the grown-ups saying no, no, no. Or being called good for sitting still, or naughty when you couldn't bear to sit still any longer. It's all completely well-intentioned, of course, but that doesn't make it any less insane. Because the fact is, our capacity to create and learn knows no bounds, and the latest research proves it. The invention of MRI scans only in the past 25 years has allowed scientists to see which parts of the brain are used by different kinds of thinking. We now know infinitely more than we did about how we learn and what makes up human intelligence. And it's extraordinary. So, want to know what you're really capable of? Let's start at the beginning. A baby's brain is amazing. It doesn't take 9 months to create. It's taken 7 million years and around 350,000 generations. All the skills, knowledge, and talents cultivated by our ancestors are stored inside it. These are like numerous software programs which can only be activated by the baby engaging with its environment. Here's the striking thing. If not activated at the most appropriate time, they simply disappear. Take language. If a child doesn't hear language by around the age of 8, they may never learn to speak. So you can see just how important our interactions are. They ignite our dormant intelligence and they reinforce it too. There's something else. We've evolved to learn by looking at things from different perspectives and making connections between things. And we do that through play. So wouldn't it be amazing if we bore all this in mind when raising kids? Letting them play when they're little and when they're older too? Charles Darwin's teacher said he'd never amount to much because he spent too much time playing with insects. So let children play, because it's never just play. Of course it takes more time and energy to do this, but when you're deciding where to focus resources for kids' learning, you couldn't do better than focusing on pre-puberty. That's when we learn by copying the people around us. After 12 or thereabouts, it's all change. Say goodbye to pliable, easy child, and hello, rebellious, challenging teenager. Ugh, where did that cute baby go? Ah well, let's have another look at that brain. See what's happening? Loads of the connections made through childhood are breaking up and reforming. From around the age of about 12 through to 20, the equivalent of an earthquake takes place in a young person's brain. No more going along with what the grown-ups say. The adolescent brain needs to go its own way. Oh no, say parents. Oh yes, say evolutionary scientists. Because if we hadn't developed this urge to do things differently, we would never have made it this far. Up until about 60 or 70,000 years ago, it was fine for children to grow up like their parents. But then along came the last ice age. Thank goodness for the handful of our ancestors who chose to break away from their doomed parents, freezing to death in the ancestral caves. They built rafts and set off across the ocean, hoping to find a place with a warmer climate. Critically, this made risk-taking the essential feature of adolescence. We shouldn't belittle adolescence. We should be honouring it for what it really is. The defining struggle, the moment when the next generation challenges the status quo and pioneers new ways of thinking and being that ensure our survival. Now just imagine if we actually gave adolescents the freedom to undertake that struggle. Rather than force them to sit passively in class, how about trusting that their earlier clone-like learning now enables adolescents to spread their wings and work things out for themselves? If that sounds terrifying, it needn't be. Because if we allowed their natural curiosity to flourish in childhood, they'll be bursting with the longing to learn and climb unscaled mountains of the mind. And that's not scary, that's exhilarating. This is the way we've evolved to be. It's what makes us fulfilled, well-adjusted human beings. Let's stop trying to live in a way that so goes against how we're hardwired to live. Let's allow ourselves and the next generation to reclaim the incredible gift of our ancestors. Adolescence is not a problem, it's an opportunity.
Do you remember the way to school every day? Why do your eyes blink without you even thinking about it? What is it that makes you feel happy, or sad, or even scared? Your brain is in charge of these things, and a lot more. In fact, your brain runs your body, and it controls just about everything you do, even when you're sleeping. And when it comes to learning, your brain is the most important part of your body because it is where all of your thinking and remembering and feeling takes place. Here are some things that we know about the brain. The average human brain weighs about 3 pounds and looks like a big grey wrinkly sponge. A dog's brain is 19 times smaller than a human adult brain, while an elephant's brain is 4 to 5 times bigger than ours. While you're awake, your brain generates up to 25 watts of power, enough to illuminate a light bulb. The biggest part of your brain is a cerebrum, and it has 2 halves, one on either side of your head. Scientists know that the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, and the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. When you're thinking, you're using your cerebrum. You need it to solve maths problems, to speak, to draw pictures, to kick a football, to imagine things. Just about anything you do, in fact. Your memory lives in the cerebrum, both short-term memory, like what you ate for dinner last night, and long-term memory, how you felt on your first morning at school. The cerebrum also helps you to reason, like when you work out that you should do your homework now because there's a film you want to watch on TV later. So, the brain is boss, but it can't do it alone. It depends upon lots of microscopic cells called neurons, over 100 billion of them in fact, that let messages flow backwards and forwards between the brain and body. Each neuron has tiny branches that let it connect to other neurons. When you're learning things, electrical messages travel from one neuron to another, over and over. Eventually, the brain starts to create connections or pathways between the neurons, so things become easier and you can do them better and better. Think back to the first time you rode a bike. Your brain had to think about pedaling, staying balanced, steering with the handlebars, watching the road and braking, all at once. Hard work having to think about all these things at the same time. But eventually, as you got more practice, the neurons sent messages backwards and forwards until a pathway was created in your brain. Now you can ride your bike without thinking about it because the neurons have successfully created a bike riding pathway. Creating these neural pathways is how you learn and remember things. So, the more you use your brain to create these pathways, the more you will learn. Your brain is responsible for your feelings and emotions too. It's normal to feel all different kinds of emotions: happy, sad, worried, or stressed. One of the things that we know for sure is that our emotions have a big impact on the way we learn. Feelings of stress or anxiety can make it very difficult for someone to learn. When you feel threatened or worried, your brain is programmed to trigger the release of chemicals such as adrenaline and cortisol into your body. These chemicals quickly alter the way you think, feel, and behave, making it difficult to think clearly or take in new information. Scientists believe that we learn best when we are happy and relaxed. That is when our brain processes information most efficiently. There are other physical factors that can affect your brain's ability to concentrate and learn effectively. The brain requires water for creating neural pathways, so being dehydrated can mean that your thinking will be less effective. Not having enough water in your system can also lead to a rise in salt and increased blood pressure, which in turn can cause stress. The brain also needs the right balance of proteins, fats, vegetables, carbohydrates, and sugars to work efficiently. So, maintaining a balanced and healthy diet is important for effective learning. If you have a diet that is too high in sugar and food additives, you will probably find it difficult to concentrate well, and it might even affect the way you behave. Other things can have an impact on your brain's ability to work efficiently. When you're tired or hungry, too hot or too cold, it's unlikely that you'll be able to concentrate effectively on learning. Sitting still for long periods of time can affect your ability to concentrate and study. It's good to take brain breaks where you do some physical movement or exercise. This will increase the oxygen in your bloodstream, which will help the neurons to fire. Many people believe that a person's intelligence is fixed and it is not possible to become smarter. In fact, our brains are constantly changing and creating new neural pathways. This means that everyone is capable of learning and becoming more intelligent. There's lots you can do to make sure that your brain is healthy by creating the best conditions for learning. Firstly, the more you use your brain, the more efficient it will become. Challenge yourself in your learning, be ambitious, set targets for yourself, and make sure that you have an imaginative and an inquiring mind. Use your brain by doing challenging activities, such as puzzles, reading, playing music, drawing, playing computer games, or anything else that gives your brain a workout. Make sure that you eat enough healthy foods that will give your brain the minerals it needs to function well. Drink plenty of water to make sure that you stay properly hydrated. Take regular exercise to increase the level of oxygen in your blood. Make sure that you get enough rest and sleep. Break your study sessions into chunks to aid concentration and take regular brain breaks to help maintain focus. Stimulate your brain in different ways. A combination of audio, visual, and kinesthetic learning is often the best way to take in new information and learn new skills. Remember that your emotions play a big role in how well you learn. It's best to avoid studying or trying to learn new things when you're stressed or upset. Why not check out the other sections on memory and emotions?